Welcome to Redtastic. Story 1. Hi everyone, I'm Linda, a 50-year-old woman. I'm making this post precisely over an issue that has been giving me a headache. It involves my ex-husband and his annoying affair partner. I got married to Victor, my ex-husband, 59 male, when I was just 23 years old. That is to say, we have been married for more than 2 decades, but 2 years ago, we divorced. Here is a brief on what led to our divorce and the source of all the chaos that has caused me to make this post. 5 years ago, Victor told me that he knocked up Priya, his affair partner, 30 female. So he wants to take responsibility for his action and make up for his mistake. I was angry at his revelation, but being a mom myself, I couldn't deny that the unborn baby was innocent. So I reluctantly agreed to his suggestion. How foolish I was. He rented an apartment for her, and after the baby was born, he footed all the necessary bills. Although I was a little annoyed, I wasn't so worried because out of the 3 kids Victor and I had, one was already done with med school and was working as a medical doctor. And the second one was in his final year of college, and our last born was just done with high school. When they all heard about how unfaithful their dad was to me, they were angry as well and suggested that I divorce him. But I refused. Being married for more than 2 decades, I knew divorce wasn't an option. So I compromised. The kids don't talk to him again. But a year ago, Victor came to me with another request. This time around, his demands were very unreasonable. He wanted Priya to move in with us. He claimed he would soon be on pension and could not afford to continue paying her rent. To make everything worse, I found out that he had knocked her up again and she was heavily pregnant with twins and might deliver in about 3 months. I couldn't help but wonder what Victor took me for. I refused and told him that I would never let her set foot into our house, a home we both built together. So, either I stay and she leaves or otherwise. Do you know that Victor just told me blatantly that he built the house himself? So if I can't accept his demands as the owner of the house, then I can move out. I was like, wow. His outburst took me by surprise. I admit that he built the house himself, but furnishing the apartment cost me almost my entire savings by then. I earn more than Victor because I am a programmer by profession while he is a teacher. So I offered to furnish the apartment so we could move in after getting married. So when he told me that I could move out, I was hurt beyond words. At that instance, I thought to myself that I had enough. The next day, I opted for a divorce. I could no longer bear it again. I moved out of his apartment to one that my son had paid for. It is a well-furnished 2-bedroom apartment. But God being so good, he had to pay me a lot in alimony because we have been married for decades. After the divorce, proceedings were finalized. I had no plans of remarrying, so I decided to travel around the world and take a breather away from all the mess and maybe clear my head off our divorce and Victor's betrayal. I have been traveling the world for close to a year now, and I'm enjoying my life to the fullest. I recently created a TikTok account and posted a few pictures and videos of my trips on it. I guess my ex-husband and Priya saw it as well because I received a call from Victor 3 days ago. I was surprised because that was his first call after we divorced, but on answering, I realized it was Priya who called me with his phone. She started screaming and yelling at me over the phone that I was horrible for taking so much money from her husband's earnings every month. I told her she could divorce him as well and she might get a few pence from him, considering they got married less than 2 months ago. She was furious and said the money I took could give her and her twins a better life. So I should consider giving it up instead of blowing it up on my vanity. I told her she was smart enough to snatch my husband but was too dumb to realize that me divorcing him meant he would have to pay me so much in alimony. So I don't give an F if she and her kids starve to death. And what I use my money for is none of her damn business. She called me a greedy monster, and I told her if I was one, then I was of a lower rank compared to her, and she hung up. The next day, Victor himself called me with the same request that I give up the alimony because he now had to take up a night job and do multiple online jobs just to pay the alimony plus. He had a lot of family expenses to pay. I laughed and told him to go to burn the sea for all I care, because the alimony is something I would never give up on. Since he got the guts to throw me out for his affair partner, then he should be ready to man up and bear the consequences. So folks, I want to know if I'm wrong for taking the hefty alimony from my ex-husband. They're all blaming me, but I want to know your judgment as well on the whole issue. I will surely keep you updated. Update. Victor called me yesterday, this time almost in tears, that Priya had threatened to abandon him and their 3 kids if he didn't do something about their standard of living, which had become worse now that he was on pension. I straight up told him I don't give an F about that. It was his family affair, so he should go settle it alone. All he managed to say was, "Linda, you have changed. I don't know you to be like this." I said, "Now you know," and ended the call. That dumb and stupid me that would always compromise in every situation was gone. He made me so, and I don't think he should be surprised. Thanks for your comments. They gave me some nerve to overcome this messy situation. You're not an a-hole for collecting alimony from your ex-husband, OP. However, this alimony you're getting is at the expense of 3 innocent children. They're not your responsibility. Your ex-husband was the one who cheated on you, took you for granted, and then got his affair partner pregnant twice while knowing that his teacher salary would probably not be able to cover it. If you do not need the money, then let it go. You're not doing it for your husband or his affair partner. You'll be doing it for the kids. They're innocent in this after all. Story 2. I, 31 male, and my brother, 33 male, own a very successful stone gravel mine next to an industrial area. We recently wanted to expand the mine in 2018. Our mine would have been 4 times as large, and production would have increased by 7 times. The problem was the business in the industrial area would have had to move, including my father-in-law's bar. We held a meeting with all the owners and we proposed they move elsewhere. Most agreed, since a new developer had built business rental properties in a more convenient area for them in the city. All they wanted us for was to pay deposits for the new rentals and the other moving costs. We agreed to this and were most happy. The problem was with my father-in-law and a few businesses. Father-in-law didn't want to move, claiming the bar had been in that area for generations in the family, and he wasn't going to move. It's important to note the bar would have made more money going to a busy area. We didn't want to force anyone to move. The landlord also said the leases were watertight, no one could be forced. My wife was on my side, but she failed to convince her father. My brother and I decided to let my father-in-law bury himself alive. Most of the customers were people working in the area, so most of father-in-law's businesses were leaving. We watched the business collapse during 2019, and the coronavirus delivered the final blow. Before the lockdown, he had taken tons of loan just to cover rent. Now things are beginning to open up again, and father-in-law and the other remaining businesses haven't opened. Some have closed for good. Father-in-law called last week for a loan to be able to reopen. I refused. The business won't survive anyway. Then he said I was an a-hole, I ruined his business, and I was selfish. Most of the family have been calling me, sending me nasty texts, calling me an a-hole and a dirty businessman. My wife is on my side and said father-in-law should have moved. Father-in-law can't move now, there is no space in the new location. I don't need him to move anyway, his landlord will kick him out. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, OP. From a business perspective, even if you weren't interested in the land that your father-in-law's bar was located at, why would you give a loan to an obviously failing business? I don't see that as being a dirty businessman like your family called you, but rather a smart one who doesn't invest in something that obviously can't return the money. In my opinion, the bar would have been struggling due to COVID no matter what, and you have no responsibility to try to drag it from its grave. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole. He should have moved when he had the chance. What kind of businessman refuses a beneficial relocation just because it's been in the family for generations? Time changes. He should have accepted it. His bar deserved to fail. Why don't those family members calling you the a-hole help him? Not the a-hole. You did not force anyone, just played your time card, and you are not obliged to give anyone a loan, especially not for some doomed business. He managed to pull a building over his actual business, and it ultimately ended up being the wrong choice. His choice he made. Not the a-hole. I would try to separate the family and look at this legally. You made a business decision to expand, and there was an opportunity for those businesses to move or not. You said he was not legally required to move. Then okay, he made that decision to not move. COVID was nobody's fault. It just is. So if the business is now failing, it is what it is. He may have been failing in a new location as well. And giving loans, you are not a bank. Tell him to go to a bank. Story 3. Roughly a year and a half ago, my 24 female's boyfriend, Xavier 29 male, expressed interest in quitting his full-time job and starting up his own business. We have separate finances and we plan to keep it that way. I have no stake in his financial success or lack thereof. From the get-go, Xavier's family were not supportive of his business idea. They didn't believe his business could directly compete against 2 already established local businesses in the area, and they strongly discouraged him from quitting his job. Xavier was crushed by his family's reaction. He turned to me for support, and naively, I gave it to him. I strongly encouraged him to pursue his dreams. I told him he was clever, hardworking, dedicated, and perseverance, and he could achieve anything he set his mind to. I encouraged Xavier to live his life without regrets and rise up to the challenges. Basically, a lot of motivational crap talk that in hindsight seems stupid now. At the time, I genuinely believed Xavier had a decent chance of succeeding because he has a brilliant work ethic and a brilliant mind. However, I knew there was also a good chance he would fail and lose money, but I assumed Xavier knew the risks. Flash forward to today, and Xavier's family were right. Xavier's business turned out to be a complete flop. There aren't enough clients for the business to be sustainable, and he can't compete against the local competition. Xavier's in massive debt. He put all of his savings into the business and also took out a massive business loan. And he's been forced to close the business because he cannot keep it in operation without pouring more money into it. Now Xavier's currently looking for a full-time job to replace the job he once had. He's also had to move back in with his parents because he can't afford rent or bills right now. Although the choice was ultimately Xavier's, I am receiving all the blame from Xavier's family for steering him in the wrong direction. They believe he would have never quit his job if it wasn't for me. His father believes I fed him false hope and pretty much ruined his life. His mother sent me a ridiculously long message saying I was happy to let Xavier crash and burn because our finances are separate, and if I really loved him, I would have looked out more for his financial security. Xavier doesn't blame me at all, and our relationship is still strong despite what his family thinks. Was I an a-hole? At the end of the day, it was Xavier's decision, and I don't think I should feel guilty for encouraging him to pursue his dreams, even if those dreams don't work out. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole, but his family surely is. You didn't really do anything wrong here. You're being supportive. Frankly, miracles don't happen all the time, and this is one of those times. These are the undeserved results of his actions, and honestly, this was all a part of the risk he was taking in the first place. You never made him do anything, and you would have been an a-hole to stop him from trying. Not the a-hole. I've been there, and I've decided I would rather be the wife who supports her husband's dreams and then comforts or supports him through the failure, than the wife who holds him down and crushes his dreams and has him grow to resent me. Also, telling him to go for it and pursue his dreams is a lot different than advising him to quit his job and pursue a business idea full-time, or to take out a large loan and get into debt. Those were all his decisions. Everyone sucks here, not because of the situation, but because of throwing inspirational, unbiased bullshit at someone who most likely greatly values your opinion. That said, it indeed was his choice. Just keep in mind that giving a nuanced opinion to those who value your opinion is always the best thing to do. His parents are idiots though, and it's clear that they are seriously overbearing given that he's 29. And your boyfriend, no offense, is definitely not as bright as you give him credit for. Competing with two established businesses without contacts and taking huge loans? Ouch. Conclusion, everyone learned a lesson, including the parents.